and we are recording Mr. Mike Hill.
Cool.
I'm Bob Kobeck with Mobius Vendor Partners and CustomerCount. You know us as a business process management firm and a online feedback system focusing in customer experience and in this particular case, employee experience, which is why we're talking to my friend, Mr. Mike Hill, author of the book Measure to Manage. And just as a little bit of background, Measure Manage has been a moniker of CustomerCount for 15 years, and it comes from a very, very famous business consultant that coined it, and basically I picked it up. Well, in my research the other day for employee experience, employee engagement professionals, I ran into this book called Measure Manage, which then led us to Mr. Mike Hill, which then led us to a pretty good business relationship as two consulting firms that got together that will help companies with their employee engagement and employee experience. So how did I do, Mike? Is that about right?
Yep.
You want to add to that?
You've hit the nail on the head. If you want to manage it, you got to measure it.
Well, and just so everybody understands, Mike is the guy with the other mustache. So Mike, you've been a very successful business guy. If you want to take a minute, tell us about that, and then tell us, based on that experience, is that what led you to the whole Measure Manage practice?
Exactly. I was partners here in Indianapolis in a company, industrial distribution fabrication company. We ended up having 5 branches and have a lot of fun, growing quite well. And I always got frustrated at the time of year when it came to doing our employee evaluations that the evaluations just weren't helping us getting the maximum performance from our people. And I also thought the evaluation, which I ended up then calling feedback, should be to the level that employees, when they go home at night or after a week, they know based on measurable criteria how they did for that day or for that week. And I thought that's what individuals would want, desired, and it ended up correct. I took the process, which involves 5 steps, to different departments in the company. And the first year that we used the process and the steps, we put $100,000 to the bottom line just by using the process. And so then
through attrition, because of the attrition, or because of the performance improvement, or both?
Totally performance improvement.
That's good.
Yes. Sales was working, but we brought in more sales. We brought in more profitable business. Different division or departments were functioning a lot at a higher level. And so right off the bat, 1 year, 100,000. I then sold my shares in that business, got out and went into the consulting world.
Welcome.
Yeah, there you go.
The water's pretty good here, isn't it, in the consulting world?
I then got hired by another industrial distributor fabricator, the 4th largest in the country at the time, and went to work with them as a vice president, and taking the same steps from measuring to manage and applying them to that organization. The first year that we implemented them, we put $500,000 to the bottom line.
It is a process, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
It's not theory. It's not one of those things that you can see it work in practice and see if you can make it work in theory. You really make it work in practice.
Yeah, most definitely. So great experience there. We grew the company from 100 million in sales to 145 million in sales. And then here I am back in the consulting world.
Well, with with us, thankfully.
There you go.
In addition to your own practice, and we could
Right.
talk about that also. Um, so you were measuring the employee experience regularly, like daily, weekly, monthly, or how often would you, we'll use the word survey.
The numbers were there weekly. Some individuals and some managers would even jump into them daily. But they were there for everybody to take a look at as often as they'd like.
How often did you collect the data?
It was ongoing.
Okay.
So and so what the managers could do if they had individuals that were not performing up to the desired level, they'd look at the numbers more often and sit down with those individuals and say, okay, let's put a plan in place to improve your performance.
Now, what did HR say about all this?
Initially, they were a little reluctant, but then when they saw the results, they loved it. And it satisfied all their needs of, because they could tie it in with backup paperwork and that type of thing. And so they ended up cheerleaders for the process.
So share with me then, what's the attraction to the Mobius customer count to our family?
Well, the way that you're able to derive measurements from your surveys, and then those measurements we can apply to management practices that will improve that employee experience, and you get that employee experience level higher. People are more productive, they're more engaged. They're the ones that will help take your company to the next level.
Well, I'll do a little prompting here if you don't mind, and that is to say that we also can match it up with the customer experience. And
Exactly.
see, oftentimes there's a gap between the employee's perception and the customer's perception, and finding out why is that gap, which can help you on both your employee side and your CX.
Right. There's in so much of management leadership, it comes down to that communication. So you just got to find out how the customer is communicating, how the employee is communicating back, and then also how management is communicating with the employees. You get that communication solved and everybody wins.
Well, so we should keep this, try to keep it short. I could go on for a couple hours with you.
So could I.
Well, you want to do this again in the near future?
Sure.
And just add to it some more. And, we're fortunately for you and for me, well, I know that I work as hard as I can to try to get smarter every day. And so I know that we're always going to have something fresh and new to talk to people about. So we could do this in the future and near future.
Would love to.
Okay.
Love to.
And so be sure that you visit us on our YouTube channel if you haven't already, the Mobius Vendor Partners YouTube channel and or the CustomerCount YouTube channel. So I appreciate it very much. Mike, thanks.
Well, thank you very much, Bob.